The Scum Villain's Self-Saving System, Chapter 82 The Ultimate Showdown Between Bing Mei and Bing Zhe, Part 1. Audio source, wushouworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 82 The Scum Villain's Self-Saving System. Extra. The Ultimate Showdown Between Bing Mei and Bing Zhe, Part 1. Without a doubt, the first stop after leaving Kangchong Mountain, under the belligerence of the masses, was Luo Bing's demonic base camp in the southern border. Earlier, when Shen Qingqiu was placed under house arrest, he had spent some time in this underground palace. At that time, the land outside the one remodeled bamboo house was plowed and fertilized, and the bamboos of varying height planted on that land had wilted and sprouted then wilted. Now, he was back to revisit this former haunt. The bamboos were now surprisingly thriving through some unknown means that Luo Bing's conscientious demonic minions had used, creating a shade of green that rustled in the wind. As expected, Luo Bing had clung to him the first 10 days after their arrival. He would not budge no matter how Shen Qingqiu tried to pull him off. In recent days, he actually started to exercise restraint and suddenly turned all polite and courteous, saying that the civil conflicts between Beizhong and Nanzhong had been incessant and he had a lot of pressing business to attend to. Thus, he no longer had as much time to loiter around Shen Qingqiu. This was not true, of course. Shen Qingqiu was sure it was because he had declined Luo Bing's request to share the same bed, thereby breaking Maiden Luo's heart of glass once again. Hand-waving goodbye. All right, he had only turned him down out of habit. If Luo Bing had pestered him just a little more, he would have agreed. Who knew that as soon as he waved his hand, Luo Bing had rushed out of the door to emo at a corner growing mushrooms too. Shen Qingqiu guessed that Luo Bing had gone into hiding at the inner palace these days, so he decided to take the initiative to pacify the latter. Other than Luo Bing, everyone else was barred from the inner palace, everyone else except Shen Qingqiu, of course. Luo Bing had once said that Shen Qingqiu had full access to this palace. He could come as go as he pleased. With the command issued and passed down, there was nobody who had the guts to block Shen Qingqiu's way. Shen Qingqiu slipped in with a swagger. Surprisingly, there was no sight of Luo Bing, so he took a thorough look at Luo Bing's private place, which had always been shrouded in secrecy. Just as he was going to examine everything thoroughly and touched to his heart's content, the stone door was flung wide open, and a figure stumbled in. Trepidation initially flashed through Shen Qingqiu's eyes, but after seeing who'd arrived, he involuntarily cried out, "Luo Bing!" It was as if Luo Bing did not expect another person to be in the inner palace. His dazed pupils abruptly shrank, reflecting Shen Qingqiu's face in those pitch-black eyes. In an instant, the murderous look on his face transformed into extreme astonishment. Shen Qingqiu did not notice the changes in his face. All he could see at the moment was the fresh blood all over Luo Bing. Luo Bing took a few steps forward but went weak in the knees. Shen Qingqiu went up to him just in time to catch a tumbling Luo Bing in his arms, spontaneously putting his arms around that black-soaked back. He asked, "What's going on? Who did it to you?" Who would have thought Luo Bing would be walloped to this extent in his own territory? All right, this could not really be counted as a bug. Even the stallion novel protagonist was now a homosexual. What else could be qualified as a bug? Luo Bing's throat throbbed. One word exploded from his mouth through tightly clenched teeth. Go. Go? Was he telling him to flee? Shen Qingqiu hurriedly replied, "All right, let's go." Having said that, he placed his arm around Luo Bing's waist. Who knew that Luo Bing would tightly purse his lips and forcefully push him away? It was the first time Shen Qingqiu was pushed away. Dumbfounded, he thought, was Luo Bing telling him to go alone first? Was he afraid of implicating him? It seemed to be the only explanation. He instantly rebuked him. "Knock it off. This master will take you back to Kangchong Mountain." The veins stood out on Luo Bing's forehead. he said in a harsh voice. I'm not going. Shen Qingqiu thought he was throwing another tantrum. Why are you still being difficult at this point? Let's go there first to hide. Quote. He placed his palm on Luobing's back. Luobing's face suddenly froze. There was a warm and continuous stream of spiritual energy being propelled into his body in waves from his back. After a moment, when Shen Qingqiu felt it should be about right, he withdrew his hand and unsheathed Shu Ya. Pulling Luobing up, he soared towards the sky. The origin of Shu Ya was Wanjian Peak. Thus, an alarm would not be triggered whenever he used Shu Ya to access the inner grounds of Kangchang Mountain beyond the shield barrier. As a result, Shen Qingqiu could sneak a person into Qingjing Peak unnoticed. The only thing was that he could not hide it from his own peak's disciples even if he could keep it from the other peaks. Someone was already inside the bamboo dwelling when he furtively dragged Luobing there. Mingfan was holding a broom sweeping the floor while babbling incessantly. Ning Yingying, with her sleeves rolled up, was standing on tiptoes on a small bamboo stool dusting the top shelf with a duster. The two of them were alarmed when Shen Qingqiu kicked the door open and entered. But after taking a closer look, they immediately called out. Shen Qingqiu made a zipping motion over his lips, and both of them went quiet. Shen Qingqiu whispered, "What are you shouting for? Are you trying to draw those from Baizan Peak here?" Lu Qing would definitely make his way over if he knew Shen Qingqiu was back. Once he came over, it would be impossible to hide Luobing given his current state. It should be said that the ones who were the most enthusiastic about ganging up on and picking a fight with Luobing whenever they saw him were those terrorists from Baizan Peak. Luobing had always restrained himself and did not dare to fight back, becoming a live target for them every single time. Even if he was not beaten to death, it was still bothersome. Ning Yingying's almond-shaped eyes widened as she covered her mouth with both hands, continuously nodding her head like a little chick pecking at rice. When she noticed a blood-soaked Luobing, she moved her hands away and gasped. "Shizun, what's wrong with a Luo?" Luobing swept a glance at Mingfan, incredulity and loathing flashing in his eyes. That gaze was so frosty and penetrating that Mingfan could not help but tighten his grip on the broom and shrink back, nearly falling over in the process. Shen Qingqiu did not notice these details. He helped Luobing to the edge of the bed and said, "Just a minor injury. Both of you may leave first. Is the medical kit delivered by Qiansao Peak still in the same place?" Ning Yingying replied, "Everything in here has not been moved. They are all in the same place." "Shizun, do you need our help?" Shen Qingqiu said. "No, this master can handle it by himself." After chasing out the two disciples, Shen Qingqiu righted Luobing's posture and placed a pillow behind his back. Once Luobing was settled in position, he squatted to remove Luobing's boots. All the while, Luobing had been maintaining his silence. When Shen Qingqiu lowered his head, Luobing fixated his sight on the white nape of Shen Qingqiu. His gaze was inscrutable, with wariness and frostiness metamorphosing in between. Shen Qingqiu thought Luobing was too weak to speak because of his injuries. Upon seeing his forehead drenched in cold sweat, Shen Qingqiu prepared clean water and a piece of soft cloth to wipe his face. He picked up a bunch of bottles from the medical kit given by Mu Qingfeng, then turned back and reached a hand out to remove Luobing's outfit. Luobing abruptly grabbed his hand. His grip was so strong that Shen Qingqiu frowned, but he was unable to use his other hand to smack his forehead. He lowered his voice and said, "Stop being stubborn. I'll take a look at your wounds." Luobing still refused to release his grip. Shen Qingqiu was grasping a bunch of multicolored pills in his left palm, and he was already running out of patience by this time. Thus, he simply shoved all of them into Luobing's mouth. Luobing's mouth was jam-packed with dozens of pills of varying sizes. His face darkened, and he finally withdrew his hand. Shen Qingqiu seized the chance to tear his clothes off. He took a couple of glances at Luo Bing's body, but he had no clue where to start, so he merely used the piece of soft cloth to dab gingerly at the blood. Wisps of black energy were spilling out from his open wounds. They did not seem to be ordinary wounds. Otherwise, the wounds would have already healed given Luo Bing a self-healing ability. Shen Qingqiu carefully cleaned him up and asked, "Where on earth have you been these days? Who did you duel with to end up in this state?" Not once had Luo Bing uttered a word. Shen Qingqiu wiped Luo Bing's chest clean and grabbed his wrist to take his pulse, just as Mu Qingfang had taught. If his condition was really bad, then his priority would be to ask Mu Qingfang's over to take a look at him. He would think about the rest later. While he was taking Luo Bing's pulse, he took a couple of glances at the back of Luo Bing's hand and his chest. A strange sense of uneasiness crept over him. He had a vague feeling that something was wrong. It was as if something was missing. But when he looked at Luo Bing's pale lips and cheerless eyes, he did not dwell on it and simply sat on the edge of the bed and continued to impart spiritual energy to Luo Bing. As the spiritual energy slowly flowed through Luo Bing's veins, Shen Qingqiu felt the latter's stiff muscles gradually relax. He quietly heaved a sigh of relief and extended his arms, intending to pull Luo Bing into a hug. Once again, Luo Bing broke free. Shen Qingqiu, who was pushed away for the second time, cast aside the cloth in his right hand and asked helplessly, "What's the matter with you again?" Luo Bing's eyes were full of wariness and guardedness. Shen Qingqiu rolled his eyes in his mind and censured him. "At this point in time, why are you still throwing a tantrum? Is it worth being angry for so long just because I did not let you sleep with me a couple of days ago?" Hearing that, the corner of Luo Bing's mouth twitched. Although Shen Qingqiu was seething with anger, he reached out and touched Luo Bing's forehead. He muttered, "Feels a little feverish. Are you feeling dizzy?" Suddenly, Ning Yingying's voice rang out from beyond the abode. "Lu Shishu, you can't go in. Shizun is not available now." Ning Yingying usually spoke in a quiet and sweet voice, to the point that sometimes a person had to be near her to hear her clearly. Making such a din was out of character for her. It was clear that she was trying to tip off Shen Qingqiu, who was inside the dwelling. He jumped off the bed immediately. As soon as he drew the curtain, the wooden door was slammed open. Lu Qing took 3 steps into the room, carrying his sword on his back. With one hand behind his back, Shen Qingqiu turned around and greeted with a raise of his eyebrows. "Lu Shidi, I hope all is well with you." Lu Qing went straight to the point. "There's a rule on Kangchong Mountain. Luo Bing is not allowed here," Shen Qingqiu said. "I have never heard of this rule." Lu Qing replied, "It's a new rule." Ming Fan poked his head out and chimed in. "It's true, Shizun. There really is such a rule in Kangchong Mountain. It's just that Zhang Manchibo has not yet engraved it onto the stone of regulations. Everyone knows about it though." Shen Qingqiu rebuked him. "Shut up. Don't think I don't know that you brat 4 were the one who called Lu Qing here." This boy had admired Bai Zhan Peak for such a long time, he simply had to report everything to Lu Qing. He was truly a spy in Qingjing Peak. It was understandable for many of the youngsters to admire Bai Zhan Peak, but it was really disgraceful to side with outsiders and snitch on your own people on the sly. "I'll deal with you later." After being reprimanded, Ming Fan shrank back and retreated in dejection. Ning Yingying was standing in apprehension at the entrance. She was still not appeased and stepped on Ming Fan's foot with all her might, muttering under her breath and blaming him for ruining matters. As soon as both of them withdrew from the room, Lu Qing immediately lifted the bed curtain. Luo Bing was in a semi-sitting position on the bed. There was a glint of hostility in his gaze, like a wounded young wild leopard. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. He stared at Lu Qing with a murderous look on his face. His eyes were sharp and frosty like freezing knives, and venomous and searing like poisonous flames. His fist was clenched, ready to launch a critical blow any time. Xiāng Tóngxiù hurriedly stepped in between them. Pressing one leg atop the bed, he shielded Lu Wobing and said, "Shidi, don't do this." Lu Qing was perplexed. "He's wounded." Xiāng Tóngxiù really wanted to bow to him. He sighed. "I wouldn't have brought him back if he wasn't hurt. Lu Shidi, please just turn a blind eye to this and don't chase him away." Lu Qing asked, "Since he's hurt, why doesn't he just remain in the demon realm?" "It was precisely because he got hurt in the demon realm," Xiāng Tóngxiù said. "We had a situation." Lu Qing probed. "Did those demons revolt?" Xiāng Tóngxiù looked at Lu Wobing from the corner of his eyes. He did not know if it was appropriate to reveal the state of affairs of the demon realm. Thus, he simply gave a vague answer. "Perhaps," Lu Qing said, "he should clean up his own mess. Kangchong Mountain has your back but not his." Lu Wobing suddenly let out a cold laugh, which aggravated a wound near his chest. He gritted his teeth to endure the pain. Upon hearing how much agony he was in, Xiāng Tóngxiù suddenly felt a wave of confidence well up in him. He said with a severe countenance, "Lu Shidi, do not forget that this is Qingjing Peak." Of course, it was the Peak Lord of Qingjing Peak who had the final say on whether someone was allowed to remain on the peak. Lu Qing hated that he had no way to dispute this, so he said with a cold expression, "Fine, protect him all you want." After throwing this sentence out, he stomped out of the door. Less than 2 seconds later, he stomped back in and flung an object into Xiāng Tóngxiù's arms. Xiāng Tóngxiù caught hold of it and looked at it. To his surprise, it was his folding fan. The folding fan he had lost during the battle at Luo River. It was Lu Qing who found it every single time. It was evident that there was an affinity between Lu Qing and this fan. He might just as well gift it to him. He gave a dry cough and said courteously, "I always have to trouble you every time." With a sweep of his sleeves, Lu Qing left. Lu Wobing's voice rang out from behind Xiāng Tóngxiù. His voice was hoarse. "Lu Qing." There was a tinge of real uncertainty behind the question. Xiāng Tóngxiù said, "Don't worry about it. That's just the way he is. He will just shout twice and leave once he's done shouting." Lu Wobing narrowed his eyes, a thoughtful expression gradually emerging on his face. Xiāng Tóngxiù set the folding fan down on the table and comforted him. "Don't be afraid. Since this master has already put in a word for you, he will not come and make things difficult for you for the time being. If the disciples of Baisan Peak gang up on you again, just fight back. As long as you don't kill them, there's no need to give in to them. You can consider it as fighting for the honor of Qingjing Peak." The more Lu Wobing listened, the more bizarre the gleam in his eyes became. He tentatively called out, "Shizun?" Xiāng Tóngxiù tilted his head and replied, "Him." His tone and expression were all incredibly tender and accommodating, as if he would accede to his every request. Lu Wobing shifted his gaze away, and the corners of his mouth curled up. "It's nothing. I only wanted to try calling you." Xiāng Tóngxiù was well aware that this child had a habit of incessantly calling out for his Shizun. He stroked the back of Lu Wobing's head and said, "Go to sleep. Whatever issues there are in the demon realm, they can wait until you're fully healed." Lu Wobing nodded his head almost imperceptibly. Seeing this, Xiāng Tóngxiù leaned over, pulled out the pillow behind Lu Wobing, and supported him into a lying position. Before that, he carefully untied his hairband so it would not press against his head while he was sleeping. After this, Xiāng Tóngxiù blew out the lamp, took off his outer robe with a rustling sound, and got onto the bed. He embraced Lu Wobing and said, "Go to sleep. This master will help you maneuver your vital energy 5. Now that he had hugged him and slept with him, whatever little tantrum he had earlier should have dissipated, shouldn't it? Xiāng Tóngxiù closed his eyes and adjusted the spiritual energy in his entire body to its most placid state. Like the tide water at dusk, it tenderly scoured through Lu Wobing's spiritual pulse. A pair of clear eyes glinted with a cold light in the darkness. It remained open for a very long time, staring fixedly at a peacefully sleeping Xiāng Tóngxiù. Xiāng Tóngxiù's long hair was strewn all over his arms and in between his fingers. Luo Bing grabbed a wisp of black hair and slowly tightened his grip on it, silently mouthing and reiterating his name over and over again. Xiāng Tóngxiù, Xiāng Tóngxiù. The corners of his lips suddenly curved into an odd, menacing smile. The muted smile spread wider on Luo Bing's face. It was as if he had discovered something extremely interesting. His eyes shone with a touch of near-brutal excitement. This night, Xiāng Tóngxiù's dream was convoluted and endless. End chapter.